All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class for the fall 2019 semester, I've been preparing a series of video presentations for the textbook that will be used for this class. The textbook, as you can see on your screen right now, is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5 and a press text by Adam Freeman. We are up to Chapter 26 of 27, and we're going to talk about bundles. There was one thing I wanted to do before we start, and that is to grab this, copy it to the clipboard, go back into here, and paste it in. All right. So again, bundles. In this chapter, we're going to look at the bundling feature. The bundling feature allows the MVC framework to better organize and optimize JavaScript files in their own bundle and CSS files in their own bundle. All right. It's a shorter chapter, so you can see the chapter summary that's shown near the top of the screen right now. So we're going to create a new empty project that's called Client Features. And we will make our solution name Chapter 26. We will again empty project with the MVC folder structure, create, and once it comes up, which it will very quickly, all right, we will come up and do a tools, NuGet package manager console, and I'm going to come in and put in jQuery validation, unobtrusive validation, bootstrap, and unobtrusive Ajax. So let's add those. As always, as long as nothing turns red, it's a good sign. And as you can see, I can keep moving up. There's the first one, I believe. Okay, so that looks good. We're going to create a variation on the application that was used in the previous chapter. So start by creating a new appointment class in the models folder, like we have right here. All right. Next, we want to create a home controller that operates on the model class. All right. There are two versions of the make booking method in the controller here. The version with no parameters, or the top one, the one that you see right here, creates an appointment object and passes it to the view method to render the default view. The post method, which is down here, relies on the model binder to create an appointment object and uses the JSON method to encode the appointment and send it back to the client in JSON format. The author mentions here on the top of page 743 We are focused on an MVC framework feature that supports client-side development in this chapter. So we've taken some shortcuts in the controller that normally we wouldn't on a real project. Most importantly, we do not perform any kind of validation when we receive a post request. So you typically wouldn't do that. All right. Do we have a view shared folder? No. And in that folder, we want to create a view. That's going to be our underscore layout view. All right. That's going to be our layout page. So there it is. Let's get rid of what's there. I'm sure it'll have some code for us. And it's the code shown here on page 743. Try that again. All right. And as far as that code goes, the author says here, I define two razor sections in the view. The script section, and that script section allows all views to add JavaScript code to the head element, and the body element allows the view to add content to the body element. So in other words, okay, we've got scripts here, we've got CSS here, and also some CSS here. All right, next we are supposed to go and add a makebooking.cs HTML file to the home views folder. Really, it's the views home folder, but that's fine. So we want to add a view. We want this view to be called makebooking. And we will use our layout page. Now the code for this is all of page 744. But even that's not sufficient. All right, because this also goes up to the top of page 745. All right. Now the author mentions on page 745, near the top of the page, the goal in this view is just to use all of the JavaScript and CSS files defined in the layout. To that end, we have defined an AJAX form that uses the unobtrusive AJAX library described in Chapter 23 and that relies on unobtrusive client-side validation library described in the previous chapter. Both of these libraries depend on jQuery. We have also used bootstrap styling to style the content. We have taken advantage of the script section defined in the layout to include some JavaScript code that responds to the JSON response from the controller and manipulates the markup to display the results using some simple jQuery. This allows us to deal with a single view for the example. All right. We want to create a typical scenario for a complex view file without needing to create a complex application, which is why we've added a lot of JavaScript and CSS files. The key idea here is there are lots of files to be managed. When you're writing real world type of applications, you'll notice how many of these files you may possibly end up using. You can see how the example application works by starting it, navigating over to the home make booking. All right. So let's do that. Notice we're there already. The form is pre-populated with data so that all we have to do is just literally click the Make Booking here. All right. When response is received, we see a summary of the appointment object that was created. All right, so this is virtually the same thing that we see in the book right here on page 745. All right. The project contains a number of JavaScript and CSS files, which are combined with inline JavaScript code and inline CSS styles to create HTML for the browser. This is the way you may do it, where you're doing and have a mix, all right, of both internal and external JavaScript and or internal and external CSS. Developers tend to write view files just as they would write HTML pages, which is fine but isn't the most effective approach. As will be shown in the sections that follow, there are some hidden problems in the makebooking.cshtml view file. The author will show you a number of improvements in the way that scripts and style sheets are managed. All right. So the next section, which starts on the top of page 746, is on profiling script and sheet loading. Seems like a good place to stop. All right, so we will pick it up there on our next lesson.